Hi, this is Rainbow Harmony, here to help you find balance and peace to live a more colorful life. And this is a pick a card reading for a message you need to hear right now from the Wildwood Deck. But today, what we're going to be doing, which is a little bit different, is I'm actually going to be reading to you from the book. Of course, I will sound off and use my intuition to see if there's anything in particular as we read along that's really standing out for you. But because I'm really using the book today, I would just like to take a moment to shout out this book and the creators and the writers, okay? So this is the Wildwood Tarot, and this is the first deck that I ever worked with that was the tarot. Before that, I had the Doreen Virtue Goddess Guidance Oracle deck, which was like my first little segue into tarot. It was a really beautiful, uplifting card deck that helped me tap into my inner feminine. But the way that this deck found me was very unusual. My husband and I, when we were living in Los Angeles, went into this bookshop, and he felt really drawn to this deck. He had never done tarot before, he'd never had a reading, and he just really wanted it. So we got it, we brought it home. And this was during a time where I was doing a lot of freelance work. So sometimes there were days, or let's be honest, weeks, where I wouldn't have any work or jobs. And so I was kind of left alone at home with my lovely little bird, which I miss so much, but also this tarot deck. And so it would just kind of sit in the corner and stare at me. And so I started pulling cards because I was going through a really transitional phase in my life, to put it lightly. I was going through hell, okay? I was going through a lot. I was going through a spiritual awakening. I was doing a lot of healing work, and I just started pulling cards from this deck, asking it questions, trying out spreads, and all of a sudden I just got sucked into tarot, and this deck really changed my life. It brought me on this path, and over time I fell in love with this deck so much that my husband just gave it to me and said, you know what, this is your deck. Obviously, it wants to be with you. And he ended up getting some other decks, but I kind of stole this deck from him. But it's interesting. I find this to be a very divine masculine deck. It's a very logical deck. It'll get to the point. It'll tell you the truth. I think that this is a really good deck for people who might not necessarily be like super spiritual or whatever, but for people who like want to learn the real hard truth, or who want to discover themselves more, or want to learn more about life and like seasons and cycles and stuff. This is a very good deck for people who have a strong divine masculine energy. This is a very good deck for people who are men. Because it was written by two men, which doesn't matter, but they're men and they are very divine masculine men, which the divine masculine is not always a man. I'm very divine masculine leading woman, so I think that's why I identify with it. But it's very logical, it's very practical, it's very deep. And I know a lot of you guys have purchased this deck because you see me using it so much on the channel. I mean, just look at it. It's kind of like torn to bits. And some people have even told me, get a new deck. But this deck has been with me through everything, and I will use it until it falls apart, literally. And I love it so much. And so I just feel like now is a really great time to get messages from this deck and to read the book to you guys and to share these messages. So anyways, this is definitely, it says, wherein wisdom resides. I mean, that's an understatement. It's written by Mark Ryan and John Matthews. They're actually two artists and two actors from London. So it's really interesting. You might actually look up these guys and find out like movies and TV shows they've been in. So it's very fascinating. They're also very artistic, creative people. So I think this deck connects a lot with anybody who's like an artist or who is creative. So the beginning of the book, I'm just going to do a quick review. If you want to fast forward, that's fine. But I'm telling you guys a little bit about this book. I mean, every part of it is just so amazing. You have here in the beginning like an introduction from one of the guys. And I think the other dude writes an introduction as well. It's telling you like how to use the deck, how to use like, if you've never done card readings before, it tells you how to use this deck and gives you tips for this specific deck. It has a huge connection with nature. I mean, this is talking about the Wheel of the Year, and I'm getting chills just looking at this. It's talking about midsummer solstice, Lammas, autumn equinox here, Samhain, midwinter solstice, like how we all have different cycles and seasons in our life. And then there's like a story of how each card represents a different season in nature, but also in your life. So it's all about cycles and seasons. This deck really helped connect me with nature. And here we go. There's the cards and the meanings. And this is actually, I'm going to say this is like my favorite book. I love it, not even just as a tarot guidebook, but this is my favorite book. Okay, so anyways, I highly suggest this, but just know it took me like 2 years to be able to just like pull cards and like know what they mean and for this deck to speak to me. I know a lot of you guys have reached out and been like, I don't know what to do with the Wildwood deck. I have no idea how to read it. My suggestion for you is just to pull a card a day of what you need to focus on and just read the guidebook. And after a while, you'll start noticing patterns of like, I usually pull this card when I'm going through something like this. Like soon you'll start becoming more attuned with the earth and with the cycles and seasons of the earth and the cycles and seasons in your own personal life. And after a while, the deck will start taking on its own personal meaning to you in your life. You'll start to recognize certain cards. Sometimes certain archetypes will come into your meditations or into your dreams. It'll start intertwining with your life. It's very fascinating. So this is a deck that's definitely not for the lighthearted. It's a very intense deck to start with, and it's one that could be frustrating because it might not speak to you for a long time. But when it starts to speak, it starts to speak. And just be aware that by bringing this deck in your life, you're going to be creating a lot of shift. And like shift and shit is going to start going down, and things will change, and it's powerful and it's beautiful, and it's just, I don't know, it's helped me learn more about myself and the world. And I'm forever grateful to these writers and to this deck. And yeah, I owe almost everything. I wish I could meet these guys, or maybe I'll write them a letter and tell them thank you, because this is why I do what I do. This is one of the main reasons is this deck. So that's the story behind this deck, why I love it and all that jazz, and kind of what it's about in a nutshell. Maybe I should make another video more in depth on the Wildwood deck and how to read it. Let me know in the comments below if you're interested in that, because so many of you guys have told me that you got the Wildwood deck because you've seen it here on my channel and maybe on other people's channels too. So okay, so today, random message, what you need to hear, and you're going to choose 1, 2, 3, or 4, and we'll read from the book and we'll sound off from it, okay? Put your thinking caps on, because there's going to be a lot of big words. There's going to be a lot of intense stuff, but my intention is for these messages to lift you up and to help you feel more positive and to give you like a word of hope, okay? So you're going to choose today by choosing just either 1, 2, 3, or 4, whatever card is drawing to you or calling to you, or whatever like essential oil or bottle you feel drawn to. I will also take a moment to describe these scents to you. If you're like a smell person, maybe you can kind of feel an energy off of it. And if you just want to pick, you guys know what to do. Go down below to the comments and to the description where the timestamps will be posted, so you can just click on it and be instantly fast forwarded to your part in the reading. So number 1 is actually frankincense. And it is blended with grapeseed oil, and I use this a lot. And the smell is very resiny. It's a very light, subtle smell. It's very resiny, almost like a tree sap, but it's not like pine where it just like hits you in the face. It's just a very subtle sap type of smell. It's very clearing for your third eye. And this oil can be used, actually placed on your third eye, not actual pure frankincense oil, because that's way too intense, but this is blended with some other stuff. It has grapeseed oil in it, so it's relaxing, it's focusing, it's centering. It smells like mild camphor and a little bit of citrus, and you can take a little bit of it, which I'm going to do right now, to help clear your third eye or cleanse your third eye or open your third eye, and just put it in between your brows. And it's wonderful. I'm not trying to sell you any of these products, okay? I'm not affiliated with any of these. This one you can get, like, this is now essential oils. Sure, a lot of you guys are affiliated or understand or know this brand. You can get it at a lot of stores or just look it up online. Now, these are from Spain, okay? These are from a very small shop in Spain over here. So number 2 is actually vetiver. And there's this shop called Purvain, I think, yeah, Purvain. You can look it up because they do ship worldwide in Spain, a very small shop. Oh, it's in Granada, Spain. And I picked this up there, and this is vetiver actually. So the smell is very strong. Just a little drop is enough. That's why I got a small bottle. The smell is, at first it's a little musky. There's a slight smell of sea salt to it almost. But there's also something very woody and very earthy to it. I'm not sure if any of you guys are already familiar with vetiver, but it's actually really calming. And it actually, for me, I have ADHD, which maybe you've noticed, and personally, the smell of it helps my ADHD. I don't see essential oils as a cure for anything. See your doctor, peoples, but this does calm me down a little bit. The smell of it is very calming and very soothing. And it's strong, but it's also, it's alluring as well. Now, number 3, we just have rose essential oil, okay? Pure rose smell. So imagine smelling a fresh bouquet of roses. And it's not that like grandma perfume fake rose smell. It's a pure rose smell, like literally like putting your face into a bouquet of fresh roses still attached to the plant. And rose is actually a very protecting essential oil. So I like to put this on before I go to sleep. It also can help attract love and romance. It smells good. It seems to be a scent that most people like, and when you put this on, even if you put it on heavily, it fades and it's very subtle. So my husband has a very picky nose. I always tease him and say he has a French nose because he is just very picky with his scent and his smell and his taste, and he loved France and everything when we were there. And so and he has good sense of taste and smell, and he's bothered by a lot of fragrances, but he really likes this fragrance, the rose fragrance. It's very inviting, romantic, subtle, maybe even a little sexy, but also protective, okay? Now, number 4 over here is a custom blend from a shop called Patio in Granada, Spain. And it's called Nana, but the thing rubbed off. But this is an interesting blend. It's very woody, it's very earthy, it's almost peppery. It's a very unisex type of like perfume or cologne. It's not stronger in your face. It doesn't seem to have any floral sense to it at all. Yeah, it's peppery, it's woody, it feels like you're walking through the forest. That's literally what it smells like. You're walking through the forest after it just rained. So that's number 4, okay? And I like to just use this one. I think it's better for fall and winter, for when I'm just like out on walks, and if I just want to smell good, or kind of like as an everyday type of scent. So after you have chosen from 1, 2, 3, or 4, head down below to the comments or to the description where the timestamps will be posted. And whew, I think I smelled a little bit too much fragrance, you guys. If you choose number 1, we're gonna get started right away. I'll see you soon. So for those of you guys who choose number 1, let's see what your message is and what card you got. So you're getting the Ancestor. I always see this as a card that you're being called to a new path, or you're being called to a new way of life. Sometimes called to a spiritual awakening, or called to like take the true path of who you are. And over here in the background, we see the new moon, which is a symbol of like new beginnings and new opportunities and new growth. And we see that the snow is starting to melt a little bit, Like you're coming out of this personal like winter period in your life, and spring is coming, and it's like time for you to get moving. It's time for you to take the road less traveled and follow your truth. That's how I always read this card, depending on what the surrounding cards are. But let's take a look at the book, okay? So first here we have a description of what is actually going on in this card. Then we have like the meaning of the card. And then over here we have like the reading points. And this is what I call like the real tea, like your message. So let's go through this, okay? The antlered figure of the ancestor is clad in reindeer skins and evergreen leaves and stands at the gateway to the wildwood, framed by silver birch trees, colored the bone white of winter. These trees grew during the Ice Age and are one of the first to regenerate in the spring. The reindeer once roamed vast tracts of forest, the true ancestors of our post-Ice Age oak woodlands, and it is known that they used the same trackways through the landscape. Thus, Ice Age hunters would follow their paths year upon year, hunting their major source of food, marking time by their regular and predictable migration. When reindeer retreated north with the melting ice, the White Heart, glimpsed in the forest, replaced their older mythology. The ancestors' tracks also lead into the wildwood. The morning is clear and frosty, with the first glimmer of dawn shimmering on the horizon, where the new moon hangs with the morning star, representing a new day and a reawakened soul. So here's the meaning for you, okay? The ancestor greets you as you walk up the path that leads to the forest. She is a creature of myth, half animal, half human, but carries the wand of wisdom and the drum that summons all who can hear to gather and watch the sun rise. The ancestor is blessed by the land and by the divine knowledge that flows from the stars. Her coat is of white winter fur and evergreen leaves. The gateway formed by the silver birch trees either side of the path marks the beginning of a new commitment and a point from which you cannot turn back. The trees act as a reminder to follow the path and know you are on a journey with a beginning and an end. The path is marked with the tracks that lead you onward. The new moon signifies both an end and a beginning, as Venus, the bright morning star, shows the dawn of new hope. The ancestor is linked to the part of our soul that is the most ancient and the most closely related to the archetypes that represent nature. She is a guardian of the sacred heart of the land and summons you by beating the drum to the heartbeat of the earth. It is the part of you that unconsciously heard the drum and stirred the first desire to walk the path that is at work here. It is the overpowering strength and patience of nature. It is the awesome and relentless turning of the cycle that brings spring and warmth, an end to hibernation, and the reawakening of abundant life. The ancestor stands before the gateway of nature that leads into the far forest. This is another beginning. Once you pass through the gateway, you must strive to stay on the path and see the journey through to the end. So let's break this down, okay? So this is like obviously a metaphor. Tarot is all about metaphors. It's a metaphor for where you are in your life right now. Like basically you're at this point where one cycle has ended and another cycle is beginning. And also you might be personally starting to feel a little bit more connected with the earth right now, noticing cycles and changes and seasons, or maybe you're starting to notice patterns in your own life you're starting to feel like I've been here before, or I've been through this kind of cycle before, or why does this pattern keep happening? Or maybe you're starting to understand karmic cycles. Maybe you're starting to understand what you create in your life. Maybe you're starting to understand the power and the authority that you really do have over your life. Because a lot of us go through lives feeling like victims to circumstance. Like, stuff happens. Contrast happens. No doubt there's crazy stuff happening in this world. And we all play a part to contribute to it, or to help it, or to heal it, or, you know, everybody plays a part, everybody plays a role. So there's the earth, there's the everybody in the collective consciousness, the things that are happening on this earth, and then there's you and your personal journey and your personal cycle and the choices that you make, and the subtle cycles and changes and seasons that happen in your life as well. So this is one of the first cards in the major arcana of this deck. And it's talking about, like, you're ready. You're ready to start this path forward. So for some of you guys, this path could be something more subtle, like changing an aspect of how you go about your daily life. It could be literally moving somewhere, or going somewhere, or pursuing a specific goal, or just realizing that something needs to change, or you want to create change. When I first got this card, when I first got this deck, it actually was the first card that came out for me. And funny enough, I think on the box, I don't have the box anymore, but on the box of this deck is the ancestor. It's like calling to you. And so it's kind of funny that it called to my husband, it called to me. It was like a calling of, like, time for a new path, time for a new start, time for a fresh awakening. So getting this card, or choosing this card, or feeling drawn to this card is actually really positive. It's almost like you're done with the BS and you're ready to just be who you are. And you don't really know what the path is going to look like or where it's going to lead you, because this whole deck is about this kind of parable, this idea of the wildwood, and the wildwood represents life, and like all the different paths you can take, and all the choices you have, and all the different roadblocks and obstacles that come, but also all the blessings and abundance and waterfalls and beautiful things you can see along the way. And so it's so interesting, it's so fascinating. This is definitely a call to you of a new journey, or a call to your true self. Sometimes you can get this card when you've just been like going along with the flow, but not necessarily in a good way, you know. And sometimes going with the flow and being chill, and like whatever happens is a great perspective to have in life sometimes, but it's also a balance, because I believe we do sometimes need to take action, and we need to make decisions, and we need to decide what we want. Because if you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always got. So something needs to change. And so maybe maybe you've been feeling this, or you've been seeing things in your outer reality that are pushing you in this direction. But this is a message of like a positive new cycle that you're creating for yourself right now, which is amazing. So here's the tea. Are you ready for the tea? Okay. Here's the real deal. You have made the leap and started a new cycle. Your instinctive spirit has felt it necessary to lead you to the gateway and a new path. You may have been reluctant or concerned at first, but whether you realize it or not, a shift has occurred. You may feel wary of the unknown denizens that await you in the forest, but the ancient ancestor within you will guide and reassure you as you relearn and greet new experiences on the path. Trust your inner voice. Listen to your own instinctive and inquisitive nature. Your own inner ancestor is strong, patient, and wise. Let them lead you into the forest with new eyes and a joyful heart. Wow, like the call of the wild, ancient memory, the pathfinder guide, the spirit of nature and the subconscious human psyche, Ellen of the ways, roots and branches. or associations with this card or this figure. So let's break it down. Basically, yes, you have started or you're just starting a new cycle. And your intuition has basically felt like it's necessary to take you here. Like the gateway is right in front of you and all you need to do is just step through the door and you're on this new path. So maybe you've been feeling a little, like this says, reluctant or concerned, or like you just don't, the fear of the unknown, and maybe this path or like making these changes is kind of scary because we fear the unknown. It's so normal to just be worried about change and starting something new. But this says that the ancient ancestor within you, maybe your soul or your spirit or that eternal side of you, or your higher self or your intuition, or just like yourself, is basically, trust yourself, basically. Like you will be guided. You'll be reassured. You're relearning things. You are going to be having new experiences and new opportunities. And some of these opportunities, it's just scary because you don't know what it could be, but it's going to be very positive. There's just a message for you to trust yourself, trust your inner voice. Don't always place all of your trust and confidence in the universe or God or whatever. Like, trust yourself, whatever you want to call it, your higher self, your soul, like your spirit. Trust yourself. That's what this is a message of. Trust these little messages you're getting inside of yourself, or these thoughts that you're having, or these creative ideas you have, or these downloads you're getting, whatever it is. It's like, trust yourself. Listen to your own voice. Listen to your own nature. Your own inside soul, spirit, like who you are, truly is strong and patient and wise. And so let these energies, let your intuition lead you onto this new path with new eyes, which means look at this as an opportunity. Don't expect the worst to happen. And a joyful heart, be excited. Good things are going to happen. So I hope that this resonates with you. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Peace out. So for those of you guys who choose number 2, let's see what your message is. And you are getting the 5 of Bows. So obviously this is a card about empowerment because it says empowerment at the bottom of it. It's pretty self-explanatory. When I get this card in personal readings for people, or these pick a card readings I do, or even for myself, it's either a message, it can be a card of encouragement, like, yes, you're like really empowered right now, like keep going, like you've got it. And then sometimes it can be a message to tell you, hey, like it's time to empower yourself, or like only you have the strength to get through this situation. Or, maybe sometimes this card comes to say, stop waiting for a savior, you can save yourself. Or it can tell you like, yes, you have it in you, you can do this. Or it could be a message that you're in a really empowered phase in your cycle, so this is a good time to like get stuff done. So it's fascinating. We've got these clouds in the background that are parting. The sun is shining again. We've got a very phallic symbol here, a male symbol of, I guess you can read it many ways, but it's a symbol of energy, of empowerment, of giving, of time to go out and take action. This to me reminds me of, having healthy boundaries with people, because sometimes when you're out and you're on a mission and you're doing stuff, people try to get in your way, or sometimes you just get in your own way and by your thoughts, or having negative thoughts and doubts and stress and fear, to go be who you are, make things happen. It's totally normal, but this is telling you like, let's do this, okay? And all these bows here are telling you you've got backup, you've got support, you've got strength. So let's see what the book has to say, okay? So the 5 of Bows, empowerment. So the description: 4 unfletched bow staves lie like offerings before the mighty figure of the Cern Abbas giant, who holds a 5th in his hand. An ancient emblem of fertility, he has long been seen as an opener of the ways. Interesting. So the meaning: by facing and defeating our greatest fears, we empower ourselves and grow more resilient and effective against adversity. This leads to the individual's belief that they are no longer simply powerless. The empowered individual ultimately has the capability to influence and affect the outcome of events and change perceptions. There is a lot that's being said right here, so let's break it down, okay? So this is a card that's telling you like one of two things. You have faced some of your greatest fears lately, or the path has just led you to that. And so you've been empowered and you've been growing more resilient. And the more adversity that comes your way, the more that it just slides off your back. So it's not saying that all the adversity that's come in your life has like come for a reason to teach you a lesson, to make you stronger, because people have told me stuff like that about some horrible things that happened to me. And like everything happens for a reason, only goes so far. Like this is a world of contrast. Sometimes people are really horrible to you. Sometimes crazy stuff happens, and it's more of like how you decide, like what you decide to do with the contrast that you experience here on this earth, because contrast happens. It's not like you have to accept it or that it happened for a reason to teach you stuff. If you've been abused or something horrible has happened, you don't have to just like accept it as a learning lesson. So I hope this card doesn't come across this way. This card is telling you, stand up if you feel like you need to stand up. Speak out if you feel like you need to speak out. And like by going through this, you can choose to use this. You can choose to transmute this and make yourself more effective against adversity. And so it's like telling you, you're starting to realize you're no longer powerless. You're an empowered person, or you're growing into an empowered person, and you're realizing that you have power. Even as an individual, you have the capability to influence and affect outcomes in your life and in the world. You can change events. And a lot of this happens in your mind by changing your perception, okay? So here are the reading points. I call this like the real tea, okay? So the mastery of any skill or discipline enables empowerment for clear and decisive mental processes. And the arrows of one's desires and wishes can be loosened at destiny with positive effect. The time of self-empowerment by seizing the initiative is here. By channeling primal, fertile, and protective energies, the individual can evolve a grounded and assertive mindset and utilize this for effective growth and change. This is true not only for the individual, but also for society. It is the meaning of achieving one's destiny as a matter of choice, not chance. The act of observing the particle changes the particle, and this raw, dynamic life force can be focused and deployed to influence situations in the practical world. Empowerment enables the individual to overcome negative self-images or destructive emotional addictions, and increases confidence by overcoming stigma or social handicaps. Empowerment is the key to the attainment of one's destiny and the feeling of spiritual fulfillment through a proactive and positive attitude to life. So, wow, a lot was said there. Let's break it down again. So this is a message about like something that can help you to empower yourself is to master some type of skill. And it could be like an emotional skill, like overcoming adversity, or it could be like an actual practical skill, like learning how to ride a horse, or learning how to beat a necklace, or learning how to, carve something or build something or whatever. And as you try different things in life, as you build different skills, as you master certain skills, you start to figure out what you really like and what your desires are in life and like what your wishes are. And if you can empower yourself to have desires, to have wishes. I remember a time in my life where I felt so broken that I just didn't know what I wanted in life. I didn't know what my wishes were. I didn't know what my desires were. And I just felt like I had to survive and I couldn't even dream. And so empowerment is all about like facing, defeating fears, empowering yourself, becoming more resilient against adversity, which is a process that happens quite naturally, even if you don't even try. Like, that's kind of the cultivation that happens just through your natural cycle. But basically, you're going through that right now, or maybe you've just defeated that and you're working on mastering skills, or you're working on like finding your place in this earth. And so this is telling you that like you have empowerment now, and the realization that you can aim your metaphorical arrow at something and you can get it. You can get your desires and your wishes. It's okay to desire things, to wish for things, to need things in any area of your life. And this is telling you with this empowerment, you're going to have a positive effect, or your manifestations or your goals are going to be more completed, or you're going to stay more consistent. This is telling you when you ground the things that you want in your wishes and desires, when you don't just hope and wish and want and pray and see yourself as a victim and pray for a savior and just hope everything will magically go away, when you balance, because I'm all about intuition and you know, miracles and stuff happening. It's duality here, but this is a card kind of balancing that perspective by telling you that you can be your own savior too, or we can all help each other here on this earth. And this is telling you, you know, basically you need to get grounded and have an assertive mindset and utilize this new energy for growth and change in your life, and maybe even in society. This card is all about achieving your destiny as a matter of choice, not chance. I'm all about duality. So I personally do believe that there's some things that are meant to be, and there's like these curious synchronicities, and it's very fascinating. But I also very strongly believe, and this deck has taught me a lot about choosing what you want in life and going after it and taking action to get it. So it's not pushing, it's not forcing. It's, of course, letting go of timelines, something we've talked a lot about on the channel. But this is telling you, like, you are in a place now where you can make clearer choices and you can take action. And here's some quantum physics stuff. The act of observing the particle changes the particle. And this raw dynamic life force can be focused and deployed to influence situations in the practical world. This is trying to point you back to the fact that like you have the power to create change. You really do. Empowering yourself or helping to empower others, it enables you to overcome any negative self-images, because sometimes when you have really bad negative self-images, or you have like destructive emotional addictions like codependency with other people, or maybe even actual addictions to drugs or whatever, alcohol, anything. There's so many different things out there that can be addictions. I'm not going to list them all, but you know, we've all been through addiction. I don't know, if you've never been addicted to anything, then go you, but you can get addicted to video games, you can get addicted to TV, you can get addicted to your phone, like, you know, so, you know, this basically, sometimes you can be addicted to like random things you don't even know are addictions. And addictions are distractions. Addictions are a way for us to like numb out pain. Addictions are a way for us to kind of disappear for a little bit or to shrink back from life. What's hiding underneath addiction usually is fear of failure, or the fear of moving forward, or sometimes even the fear of success. There's usually just fear. And fear is false evidence appearing real. So this is telling you empowering yourself can help you through any addictions you have, or cut any cords you have, or any negative self-images, or just any doubts you have that are keeping you, like, decreasing your confidence. You can even overcome stigma or social handicaps. Like, I've been very open on this channel to tell you guys I have ADHD, I have anxiety, I have PTSD or CPTSD, I have depression. And a lot of times in the past, and when I was really going through it, those things like literally did hold me back from moving forward. I know some of you guys have physical ailments and physical pain. Maybe some of you guys can't get out of bed. maybe your depression or your mental illness or whatever it is so bad that you're just like, how can I get my dream, or how can I make things happen? But it's empowerment can help you to be able to love those parts of yourself and like work through it so you can keep going. I still have nightmares, you guys. I didn't get to sleep until 5 a.m. I woke up at 3 p.m. I'm not trying to use myself as like some kind of like, oh, I have my shit figured out. I want to be honest with you guys that I even had a rough night last night, but I woke up this morning. I empowered myself to get my butt up and to do some things for myself, to go outside, and despite my pain and everything, I gave myself space for it. I acknowledged it, and here I am sitting doing this reading. I found my center, and I'm here. I'm here now. You can do the same thing, you know, no matter how much pain and suffering you're in. All of us have this. Some might have it worse than others, but don't let it prevent you from empowering yourself to do what you want in this life. You might have to take it slower. You might have to do it in a way that's very different from most people. I personally have to kind of set my life and my schedule up to be more conscious of these, the handicaps, the stigmas, and the things I'm personally going through. But what I'm trying to tell you is you can still empower yourself, okay? Sometimes when you're going through some real shit, you got to sit back and do nothing. It's not a time for empowerment. This could be a card telling you maybe it's not your time, but you will empower yourself again. This could also be a card that's telling you, hey, that thing you've been living with, it sucks, but you can't hang on to that forever as your excuse for not moving forward. Love it, keep working with it, and find a way around it, and find a way to make it part of your life. So I've kind of in a weird way accepted my PTSD and my depression, and I know and I expect I'm gonna have breakdowns sometimes, or it's gonna be hard for me some days. And so I work around it. I don't put too much on my plate. I've seeked and continue to seek help from doctors and licensed therapists and even healers, and you just do what you can to just make things happen. And empowerment doesn't mean that you're out there taking action like crazy and you're running yourself into the ground. Empowerment is also self-care. So this is telling you that this is the key for you to attain your destiny and the feeling of like feeling fulfilled in life. It's a proactive energy. It's a positive attitude to life. It's not about being positive 24/7. It's just about keeping that vibe going or making that your goal. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful energy surrounding you, and this energy of empowerment and encouragement coming to you today from the Wildwood Deck. So I'm really anxious to see what you think about this. Let me know. Share anything you want in the comments below. This is a safe space. I'll read it. I'll heart it. Everybody here is really nice. And if anyone's ever mean for some reason, I watch the comments, and my assistant watches the comments like a hawk, and we delete stuff right away. And you don't have to worry about being judged here. We all are just nice and share what you're going through, or tell me if it resonated or whatever. Make sure you hit the like, and I want to thank you so much for coming to my channel, okay? I'll see you next time. Peace out. So for those of you guys who choose number 3, let's see what your card is today. What is your message you're meant to hear? And you are getting the Ace of Bows, the spark of life. This is always a card that I see as like, you know, you've hit the target, you've hit the mark, you're working hard, you're making stuff happen, like you're on the right path. Like that's the kind of message I usually get from this card, but usually it depends on the surrounding cards, of course. But let's see what the Wildwood book has to say about it. Let's get deep into this. You guys ready to go deep? Okay. So here's the description of the card and what it actually looks like here. Against a shimmering background of leaves and branches, a stout, rough-hewn hunting bow shimmers with the fire of life itself. The tip of an arrow rests on a heap of kindling chaff, and curled bark is bursting into flame as the tip flashes with brilliant, incandescent light. Whoo! I guess that is what's going on in the picture. Very poetic. So here's the meaning, okay? And then the reading points is like the real tea, okay? So general meaning. As the turning of the cosmic axis generates the spark of life, so the kindling of a flame sparks the necessary light and warmth in our lives. The drill bow suggests the human element, our partnership with the environment in which we live, and the mastery of its gifts. Yeah, so just real quick, pretty much you hit the target. You know, you hit the mark, you're on the right path, or you're trying to master something, you're becoming the master of a skill. And it's like you've aimed your bow where you've shot the bow, you've aimed your arrow metaphorically, and you've hit your target, or you're preparing for that process. It's almost a message of like, you know what you want, you just need to get the tools and materials and supplies ready to go and just like make it happen. Interestingly enough, the first two cards we got, number 1 and 2, I know you chose number 3, very, very similar messages coming out today. So I'm already noticing that. But let's get into this, okay? What's the real tea here, and then we'll break it down. By shaping, directing, and persevering with the tool that both hunts and nurtures fire, we kindle the spark that starts the process of creation and empowerment. This takes skill, effort, commitment, and persistence, but the universe always responds with enlightenment, challenge, and opportunity. This is the nature of the human relationship with creation, and leads to a deeper awareness of the part we must play in the great scheme of things. Harnessing the energy inherent in the bow and the skill and endurance needed to loose the hunter's arrows accurately and efficiently are as primal and ancient as human existence itself. Every native tribe on Earth developed the bow as a tool, and choosing, shaping, and tuning the bow stave and the arrows is a time-consuming and demanding craft that hones our skills and widens our knowledge of all the materials required in this ancient art. This also includes the habits and patterns of nature associated with the prey the hunter seeks, and may infuse the archer with a new respect and reverence for the creatures that inhabit the wildwood. Be prepared to learn new skills, adapt to a changing environment, and focus and tune your instincts to the task at hand. So let's break it down. You guys ready? So maybe there are a few, maybe 1 or 2 people here who are like literally archers, or maybe like let me know below if like you're literally doing this right now, like literally. That'd be really fascinating. If you are an archer, or you understand this, or you have experience with this, or you've been called to archery, that'd be really, really interesting. But this is all a metaphor, okay? This is all a metaphor, okay? And it's trying to break it down to you, like kind of what you're going through is like something all of us as humans go through. It's very, very fascinating. So let's start here. So this is all about like shaping, directing, and persevering, like with the tools you have. Like, it's like you've decided what you want. You know what you want to create. And maybe this is something like, I want to create a baby. I want to have another child. Or maybe it's like, I want to start a business, or I want to go back to school, or I want to move up in my line of work, or I want to offer this skill or this talent or this knowledge, or I want to write a book, or I want to sing on stage. Probably something creative. Or work related, or maybe it's something as simple as like, I want to manifest like a new house or a new home, or purchase a home, or get a new vehicle, or move to another level in life, whether that's material wise or like spiritual. It could be emotional, it could be physical, it could be healing. Whatever it is, this is telling you that basically we are the ones that kindle the spark that starts the process of creation. So the spark is the idea. The spark is like the thought. everything starts with a thought, okay? So the spark is the thought of, I want this thing, or I really would love to do this, or I'd really love to have this, or I would like to manifest this. Maybe this is a relationship. Maybe this is wanting to manifest romance, or, it could be anything, but you're basically realizing that, there's something you want, okay? And so the spark is the idea, the thought. But there's some people out there in the spiritual community and all around that are just like, just think it, believe it, receive it. And here's the thing. Miracles can happen. There's been thoughts and there's been ideas and there's been strong intuitions and things I've wanted to manifest that I have sent out intentionally or not even intentionally, that I really, did believe were possible, and that just came to me like a miracle. Okay? But this is a message about the role you gotta play and the work you gotta do. It's like a hunter that wants to go out and get the prey and just doesn't make the bow, or doesn't have any arrows, or that's sitting there with no tools. Can you go down? This is really too much because I'm not for animal cruelty, but here's the freaking message, the metaphor. If the hunter trying to catch the prey, you could maybe you could go catch it yourself, jump on it and get it, but it's going to be a lot easier with your tools and with becoming a master and with practice and constant momentum and keeping this a part of your life and working for the things you want. And so this is trying to encourage you, maybe you've been working a lot. You are developing skills. This is reminding you this is going to take effort, commitment, and persistence. Maybe you're out there breaking your back and you're frustrated because the thing you want to manifest, that spark, that thought, the thing you want hasn't come yet. And you're just like, what the heck? I've done so much. Maybe you're stressed out about it. But maybe you just need to be a little bit more persistent. Maybe you need to be a little bit more committed. Maybe you need to put some more skill and effort in. It's as simple as Rome wasn't built in a day. And maybe you need a break, because I see that too. Some of you guys need a break because you've been putting in so much skill and effort and commitment and persistence. Maybe you feel like I'm not doing enough, but you definitely deserve to take a break and kick your feet up. And this is a process you're in that could take a lot of time, months or weeks or months or years or decades sometimes. I always tell this story about how I worked really hard to become a fashion stylist. I did that for a while in my life, and it took me over 10 years of working for free and building my portfolio as a fashion stylist before I got my first paid job. So, I was frustrated. I almost gave up. It was it was also awesome. I had a great time along the way because it's something that I loved, but it takes time. And imagine how much time it can take to find the right, tools to make this bow and to wind it perfectly and to make sure it's strung right and that you've got the right arrows. What if it's the first time you've ever made a bow, metaphorically, whatever your bow is, metaphorically? Maybe it's the first time, or the second, or the third, or the fourth. Maybe it's not until the 10th, 15th, 20th time that you get it right. You're going out hunting, maybe you loosen in all these arrows in different directions and none of them are catching anything. Well, you gotta eat, and that's kind of how it was back then. And by the way, I'm vegetarian, but I'm just talking from the metaphoric perspective here. You gotta eat, so, it was kind of a necessity. And so for you, whatever this bow is, this process is, this skill is, this talent is, it's almost like it's very important to you. And it's almost like you gotta do it. And this is just a message of putting the work in and knowing that maybe for some of you guys, just knowing you're doing enough, knowing when it's time, knowing the difference between when it's time to rest and kind of kick back a little bit and relax and be open for the universe to bring stuff your way, and or when it's time to quit. Because there's been times even with this job with tarot and stuff, which I love. You guys know that I've been like, I can't do this anymore, and I'm like breaking down. But really, it's just because I need to sleep, or I need to take a day or two off, or I need to just clear my energy and do something fun. And if you're working very, very, very hard right now and you're breaking down, or that's how you've been feeling because of energies or whatever's going on, taking a break is okay. I think that's a message that's coming out. And then there's a message for some of you guys that's saying, like, you might just need to work harder and be more patient. That it's a simple answer. I get asked all the time, why isn't this happening? Why isn't this manifesting? Why did this thing that I did fail? And I always tell them, don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle. Like, I pull cards and I'm like, you just need to give this like another 5 years, to be honest, and then you'll be good. But people don't like to hear that because they're like, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of work. That's like, I want this now. But you got to work for it. Just like these hunters and our ancestors had to work to get good at this skill. If you're called to do something, if you want to make it in any type of artistic industry, or you want to have success in your life, or you want to achieve some type of goal, and whatever it is, it's going to take time. And the amazing thing though is, first you take the first step. Okay, first you take action. You put in the skill, the effort, the commitment, and the persistence, and then the help comes. First you take action, then the money comes. First you take action, then the support or the next step or what you need comes. So it's like, for everything you put out in the world, something comes back. So you're not alone. This says, if you are doing this, you will start seeing signs. The universe, which is a part of you, will respond with enlightenment or challenge for you or opportunities for you. So you work hard and long enough and you start seeing things take off, and you might get little signs. You might get little messages to keep going. And then you start getting bigger opportunities, and the energy just kind of snowballs and it kind of expands. I mean, the more you work for something, it's how you build something. It's like literally building a building. I mean, at first it's just the foundation and leveling things out, and you're just sticking things in the ground, and you're looking, it's like, what the heck? Have you ever driven by a construction site and been like, what the heck is going on over there? Like, it's going to end up something cool, or like a cool building or whatever, or a nice house, but it's just really weird seeing just the bare bones of it, and seeing people hammering and tinkering with the tiniest things and wondering like, what's going on? But it does take form, and these houses, are not built overnight. I was watching this thing on Netflix. I love like watching like houses and decorating, interior design, and these people have these beautiful houses and said that like, yes, it took 2 years to build, or it took 4 years to build, and it's like, they were talking about how like frustrating that was, but about how so worth it was too. I think this is telling you, like, keep building, take breaks. There's times when it's not going to be possible. These people on this documentary I was watching was saying, like, oh yeah, because it rained all winter, we weren't able to finish, and we had to wait, and it was hard, and we just sat there and wondered, is it going to happen? But then, it happens. You have the masterpiece, you have the creation. You drive by a couple months later, or maybe a year later, that construction site, and you see a beautiful house or building, and you're like, wow, I can't believe those little people tinkering and the little things in the ground and little orange flags, and that all turned into this. And that's like you in your life. So this is telling you that this is just like how you do it, I think a lot of people in life are a little entitled, and I've been through this myself. We're not used to things taking time because we live in such a fast-paced society. We go online on Instagram and it looks like people are having this overnight success. It looks like things are just like boom. We go up to the drive-through, and which, by the way, I don't eat fast food, but cool to you guys who do. But you go up to the drive-through and you get your food, boom. You go into a store and you can buy what you need right away. It's not like you're sourcing these elements and materials yourself. So fast-paced society, you order things, it's on your doorstep 2 days later. We want things now. We're scrolling through the things and we're being inundated with this information, and everything's like faster, faster, faster. So our real life is more in tune with nature, and you look outside and it takes a long time for things to grow. You know, and when I first got here to Croatia, all of the trees around this property that I'm on and this house I'm living in out in the country were barren, and they looked ugly, and I was like, oh my God. But it was like winter, and I was like, okay. I had no idea that they were going to grow, and I didn't know that some of those trees were cherry trees and were going to blossom and bloom and produce fruit. But I've been here like almost 6 months now. It took 6 months and for that to happen. And I mean, dang, you know, maybe something you could do is like plant a little seed in a pot and watch the growth process and slow yourself and attune yourself with nature, because that's what this card is all about too. So anyways, I could go on and on with this card, but this just says like you're doing a really great job because you have the dedication and the effort and the commitment and persistence, and you've built your skills. And you can know that maybe you've already seen signs of this, or this is a message to you that the universe will respond, or you will see the reflection of this work in your outer reality through like synchronicities and enlightenment and opportunities, and like you're gonna see the fruits of your labor basically. And this is the last thing here, just says be prepared to learn new skills, adapt to changing environments, focus and tune your instincts to the task at hand. Keep on keeping on is the message. Be good to yourself, be kind to yourself. You're really onto something here with this. It's like there's a message for you not to give up, that you found something. That spark, that thought is powerful, and you just have to learn and get yourself better at this skill and to keep going. So it's a very, very positive message. I hope that this resonates with you. Thank you so much for coming to my channel, and I will see you next time. Peace out. So for those of you guys who choose number 4, let's see what card you got and what your message is. So you're getting the dedication card. And of course, this card is the Knight of Arrows, and it's all about dedication, okay? Put simply. It's fascinating though. You see this person here, this woman figure. It's interesting because she's really dressed up. She's wearing these gorgeous garments. She has her hair done. To me, it feels like she's really like putting herself out there in the world. She's like dressed up in finery because, and this, to you, this could apply if you're a she or a he or a they or whatever. Doesn't matter, but you know, this is a feminine energy of like maybe creativity and putting yourself out there in the world and like letting yourself be known. So maybe you're trying to work on some type of website or creative project, or like your social media, or like art projects, or this could apply to your career, or maybe how you live your life, or maybe you're working on trying to have a child. That keeps coming out. That came out in another card. People who are trying to get pregnant right now, or who are working on that, or manifesting a better situation for home or family, leveling up. And it's like you're trying really hard. You know, she's got her makeup did, she's got her hair done, she's got like everything going on here. Everything is done up, and everything is just impeccable with this person and how they're putting themselves together. And it's like she's tried to loosen all these arrows. She's tried so many different things, and it's like she hasn't found her path, or she hasn't found her way, or none of it has worked. But what's very fascinating is now she has picked up this bow, and now she has the arrow, and instead of like just loosening these random arrows and following like impulses or doing what other people are telling her to do or what's expected of her, she's playing this like an instrument instead. And she's walking this path solemnly. And it's almost like this message of like walking to the beat of your own drum, or allowing yourself to be creative, or finding your own path or something. That's how I always see this card. But let's see what the Wildwood has to say. So first we have a little description of the card and like what the image is, okay? Then we have like a quick meaning, and then this is like the real tea, okay? So, a figure clad in skin robes decorated with patterns of leaves stands in a clearing amid the wildwood. She is holding a bow as though it were an instrument. The black of the bow crafted in her arms and an arrow held against the string, as if it were the bow on a fiddle. Around her, repulsed by an invisible shield, are another 8 arrows. Meaning, the spiritual warrior dedicates their arrows of inspiration by playing the bow as an instrument of summoning. The inner oath helps keep one on a balanced footing by dedicating skills to a greater good. This is a deep card for sure. This is a card that maybe some of you guys who are here are being called to spiritual work. Not everybody, okay? I always tell people, just because you like tarot or crystals, or you see yourself as a spiritual person, or you're discovering spirituality, or whatever, does not mean, or you're having a spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it or label it, does not mean you're supposed to be like a tarot hippie crystal child or whatever. Because there's definitely like a lot of fads and a lot of trends going on with tarot and all this stuff. And some people think, oh my gosh, like I'm really starting to realize my connection with myself and the universe and the plants and stuff. And am I supposed to like be a Reiki healer or something? And some people are really called to do that. Other people are just called to kind of like wake up and like do your own thing and like be your own person and be authentic. So, you know, some of you here, this could be a sign that you are being called to do some type of healing work, whether it's traditional healing work like working as a nurse or a doctor or a licensed therapist or counselor, or maybe like a social worker or something like that. Or maybe you're going to be doing something a little bit less traditional or more esoteric, like hand healings or, you know, tarot, or perhaps you know, working with crystals, or, you know, doing maybe doing Ayurvedic medicine, or, you know, maybe certain types of healing practices that are from the part of the world that you live in and you're from, or from your culture or your background. Maybe to become more of like a healer, your own type of healer. Maybe you're being called to like start a channel where you're talking about love and you're like giving love advice or something like that. Maybe it's something very healing you're being called to, but you can also heal in like different ways. Like the guy who cuts my hair like totally heals me when he cuts my hair. He makes me feel beautiful and appreciated and gorgeous and like a goddess. He does an amazing job, and I see him as a healer. And so there, you can heal by doing whatever you want, by being whoever you are. This is basically a call to the artist's path. And this book, once again, is written by artists, and many people who come to this channel are artists. I think maybe that's why you're drawn to me or something. Maybe you're an artist too. I think we all have artistic sides, but this is telling you you are like an artist, and you've tried so many different things, or you've been attacked by society because you never fit in, but it's just because you're artistic and you're going to be doing something different. Maybe you actually are a very musical person because music has a lot to do with this, but there's a lot of different people here watching this reading. Basically, you're an artist. So this is telling you that like you currently are like using your energy to summon. Summoning sounds like really like kind of witchy, but really you're just bringing in, you're calling in energy for help and for support. You've like kind of made this commitment to yourself, like this inner oath that's talking about like staying committed to yourself and to your goals and to what you love and to the artistic and creative side of yourself. Like it helps keep you balanced, and you can dedicate your skills to the greater good. If your skill seems unimportant or small, just know that if it makes you happy, that's enough, because a world of happy people is a happy world indeed. I always tell people the best way you can help this earth and planet is like to tap into your own intuition, find what brings you joy, find what makes you happy, and emanate that out in the world. Some people have a very strong calling to help the earth, or to help certain injustices in this world, or to make art, or to sing, or to create, or to do music, or to dance, or whatever. Whatever this is for you, this is telling you stay true to it, because life will distract you. You know, sometimes survival distracts you, having to put a roof over your head, food on your table, having a day job. I talk to people every day who are just like frustrated because their day job is not what they want, or it's not their dream job doesn't exist, or like they went to college and like they're still trying to work to like get into like what they really wanted to do, and it's just taking a long time, or they're feeling lost. And this is just telling you, like, look inside yourself, because the things that you love, the things you're passionate about, the creative side of you is a big clue. It's like this inner oath you made to yourself to be true to yourself and to make room and to make space for that in your life. So this could be a card just redirecting you back to that, or even praising you and celebrating the fact that you've been doing a really good job, or that you have been dedicated, and it's being witnessed, and it's being seen, and it's being acknowledged. So let's get into the real tea. To heed the calling, to dedicate one's life to any skill or spiritual path, belief system, or philosophy, whatever it is, requires sincerity, self-discipline, and hard work. It is a sacred summoning that requires time and effort. For those who hear the calling and become spiritual warriors and protectors of the land, responsibility and sacrifice are also required. To deny that the human species has had a negative effect on the planet's climate and atmosphere seems totally redundant. The growing awareness of our individual impact on the ecosystem may take on greater significance in the future. We cannot predict what effect our avarice and rapacious exploitation of the land will eventually produce, but the dedicated defender of the soil must protect the living legacy we leave for our children. To teach by example the value of respecting others' beliefs and philosophies in honoring the land is immensely important. Sometimes a simple daily ritual reminds us of the oath we have taken to conserve and protect the environment. Dedicate yourself to the task of preserving the land and be a part of making the difference. Wow, so this is definitely like one card in the book that's like calling people out to like help the land, but there's also messages here. But let's talk about that first, okay? Maybe some of you guys who are here are like working with plants, or you're gardening, or you're like landscape architects, or you're people that are like, you're trying to make your business more sustainable, or you have a, like, it's weird, I even mentioned earlier calling to the land, definitely a huge part of this card. Maybe you're thinking about something that you want to do, but you're worried about like the sustainability it's going to have, or the impact. You got to do you got to start your business, you got to like do your thing, you got to live your life, but you can definitely take little steps. I think this is telling you, stay dedicated, take little steps. Maybe some of you guys who are getting this message are feeling very, very connected with the plight of the earth right now. And sometimes we take on that energy so much that we're just like, this world is so corrupt and it's never going to get better, and what can we do? And it's taking it back to you and telling you like there's a reason you're passionate about that, and you can take action, you can make a difference, you can do things in your life to help this planet, to repurpose things. Keep practicing, keep researching, keep spreading knowledge and awareness of that. Maybe some of you guys are being called to work with plants, or you're just being told to get out into nature and to receive some healing and give back to Mother Earth in some way, okay? But we're going to go back to the other meaning of this card, that says basically dedicating your life to any type of skill, or to a specific way of thinking, or a spiritual path, or to your religion, or to your tradition, or to your artwork, it's like intense, you know? Like for me personally, I'm dedicating a lot of my life to tarot, to working with the tarot, to speaking, to healing, to putting good vibes out there. And I think this is, so like I totally feel this message personally. It requires time and effort. So I think this is reminding you that just basically stay dedicated. Try different approaches. There's a lot of sacred protection around you and this skill or this passion that you have or this change that you want to help create in the world, or you working with the earth or something like that. And it's just reminding you that you are like a spiritual warrior, and to be a spiritual warrior doesn't mean you got to be spiritual in any sort of trendy sense. Spiritual is just a word of like the side of you that isn't just this physical body, like your psyche, like your soul, the eternal part of you, like the side of you that wants to see positive things happen in your life and around you, the side of you that wants to help create change in your life and help others and help this planet. It can feel like too much sometimes. It can feel overwhelming. And maybe you're getting this message because right now at this time you're getting the message. It all just feels so overwhelming. And you're just like, how do I help? How do I stand up? How do I, like, what do I do? And this is just reminding you, like, you have taken an oath in yourself, a positive oath to stay dedicated to you and your self-nurturing and to love and to what's important to you and to continue to take time to nurture that. Another message could be like, this could be like kind of a pat on the back, like you've stayed dedicated. We see you, your, your spirit guides, angels, higher self, or just yourself, or this card is reflecting back to you gratitude at what you've already done, and telling you that you're going to continue to make an impact here. And you don't also have to take all that intense energy on inside of you. There's a way for you to be at peace and to be at balance and to be at love and still celebrate joy and freedom in your life, but also work towards these intense things that are going on in the planet to make a difference. So this might also be a call to balance yourself, take a day off, unplug from social media, take a bath, and then you can get back up and keep doing your thing. But you're an important person on this planet for sure, getting this spiritual warrior card, and I'm just sending so much love and light your way. I think that you're doing amazing things, and I think that this path is leading you somewhere beautiful. And this is a card of like honoring and respecting who you are, and that you're also in return being honored and being respected and being acknowledged. So I hope that this message resonates with you. I'm curious to see what you think. Let me know in the comments below. It's so fascinating. I basically feel like we ended up getting the same message just in 4 different ways. So if anybody wants to go back and actually watch this whole video, it might be a little intense because that's how the Wildwood deck is. It's a lot of information and it's like, whoa, and you have to sit and think about it and absorb it a little bit. But if you want to watch all of these, you could, because it's all a similar message. You might have just got one that was more for you and your situation. I think that I have it right. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're drawn to any more of these cards and you want to go back and see what's up, you can. I would suggest after this reading to take some time to go get your feet in the dirt, to go outside if you're able to, or to drink some water, or do some journaling, or to dance around, or do something creative, or to rest, or do something positive. I think the way that this deck works is some of these messages and the words kind of unlock as you go through the next couple of days and the next week. A real healing, I do believe, comes from these cards and these messages. So if you're feeling a little wired right now, take some deep breaths. Know that all is well. You're doing a great job, and I'm sending you so much love and light with this reading. I will see you soon, all right? Peace out.